Motherfucking powers up. Jesus wasn't fucking got that motherfucking powers up. Motherfucking powers up. Jesus wasn't fucking got that motherfucking powers up. In the third video, this third experiment has been quite long. Third video, UMNYENI posing as the MOODLEY'S. Quite an interesting thing. I went through 2 very long videos where I explained 2 things. Mind your language, by the way. Motherfucking pause. Jesus wasn't fucking got that motherfucking pause. Motherfucking pause. Jesus wasn't fucking got that motherfucking pause. So yeah, this is what's up, mind your language, by the way. Very important if you're gonna get through this content. What I'm gonna do here is quite difficult. I'm gonna try to break this up into 3 sections. What I did in the previous thought experiments, I had basically taken people to how the original author of the Bible kind of gave 2 fucks. What I meant by 2 fucks is that he made an intervention by putting down the Hebrew scriptures, which outlined the intentions of the God of the Bible and how he's going to become a son of man. And then he put down the Greek scriptures to kind of point out that actually before he sends that son of man, he's going to send a nigger, right, who's going to make way for him. This person's going to have certain attributes, and these attributes will reflect the personality and the attributes of the coming son of man. What I also explained, very important, and I think this is where I asked motherfuckers to kind of trust me on this, you know what I'm saying? Because my intent behind reading the Bible has never been the same intent that people traditionally read the Bible for. Like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. Let me read the Bible and hopefully something good happens to me. I mean, I think reading the Bible has been typically what I could say is I'm a man with the heart of David, man, a man that's after the heart of God. So it's always been trying to peep game as to what is the author trying to achieve. So that's the perspective, and if you reading the Bible from that perspective, you kind of get the message. Now that we're getting the message, right, this comes to a different realm of life. So what I gotta point out, and I pointed this out in a lot of the other thought experiments that I've done, that the Bible is a form of literature. It is not a historical, factual book. Not to take anything away from the Bible now, it is a form of literature and it should be taken as that. And in fact, from the Zulu perspective, it is inganekwane. It is a folk tale. Folk tales are very important, especially in Zulu culture, because that's how principles are preserved and transmitted throughout the generations. So the Bible is the same form of literature. And in the context of Zulu custom, is what you would call an omen. An omen is the highest level of spiritual consecration. And I want to go into this. Right? I want to go into this spiritual consecration. So when you look at it from black magic, okay, before I jump into black magic right now, what's very important is to actually understand what's been consecrated in the scriptures. But let me jump into black magic actually. Let me jump into black magic and see what we can do. Alright, I'm actually trying to look at it right here. Okay. Alright, so let's go to the screen view and check this out. Alright, so what we have here is black magic has 3 steps. 3 steps. There's 3 steps to black magic. You consecrate first. This means make your intentions known. Let me put that down actually. Let me actually put that down. Make your intentions known. And then second step of black magic is being able to consummate, right? So that is put the idea into its rightful context. So make your intent known, put the idea, so identify the context. Yeah, so let's just put it here. Identify the context in which you'd want to make you make your intervention and make your intentions. If you get what I'm saying. And then the last level is basically make the intended impact in the rightful context. So what's also very important with consummating is also you identify the context by either pointing towards the actual context that you want to make your intent, the intended impact. So identify the context of the intended impact. Right? Or either identifying what is not the context of the intended impact. So this is very important. Alright, I hope you guys get what I'm saying over there. That's what's up. So it's very important, guys. Very important. So those are the 3 levels of black magic. 3 levels of black magic. That's the process of black magic. So the art of creating a new reality, that's what you'd go to. You'd consecrate, make your intentions known first up. Once your intentions are clearly defined and the ideas put down, then you put down, okay, this is the context in which that idea must play out. Once you've identified and ID'd that context, now it is like clear that, this idea must play out in this particular context. And then you go out and you make that idea, you demonstrate that idea in a particular context. That's creating. So that's making, the art of making the new reality. So very important. Right. So in the context of this, what I'm mentioning now is that the Bible is what you'd call in the context of black magic, the highest level of consecration. The highest level of consecration is basically the spiritual principle, right? The evidence of what is spiritual, an omen. That's what we call an omen. And an omen, why it's the highest level of consecration is because in terms of things that are spiritual, those are things that are happening internally that are not quite apparent. So your in terms of spirituality, you're looking at dream life, that is very intimate and personal. So your dream life is only your dream life. It's personal to you. Only when you share your dreams, it becomes, something that can be shared with your close people around you and family. Then you have visions. When you have a vision, that's when you are wide awake, you're conscious, and you see things unintentionally, but you see things, you perceive things that are not there, but you perceive them, right? That is called having a vision. But that's also quite a personal thing. It's not, not everybody around you could relate to what you're going. They can maybe experience what you're experiencing when you have a vision. They can you can tell them that, hey, look, this is what I'm seeing. And they can be like, okay, this person is clearly having a vision. So what is that about, But that's very personal. But the spiritual principle, an omen is the highest level of consecration, because an omen is something that can be seen by everybody. So what I'm saying here is that why this set of videos is called SHEMBE, the Spirit of Antichrist, is because anybody that gets to know SHEMBE a little bit can easily fall into the trap of identifying him or relating him to the Antichrist, a person that would supplant the Christ. Very important for you guys to understand this. But before we go into this, what I will do and point out to anybody watching this is to say there's what the doctrines say about the Antichrist. There's what the doctrines say about the devil. There's what the doctrines say. So there's what you heard. And what I'll say to you in the previous videos, you gotta trust me because I've read the scriptures with the intent of trying to understand what the author was trying to do and point out. And I have a witness that the principle that I derived from reading the book heard. I have a witness that there's one other person that was able to arrive to the same conclusion. This is SHEMBE. And SHEMBE has proven that he has come to this, what I would say, the anti-doctrine, or what I would say, this understanding of what the scripture is saying. He's proven that by the movement that he started. So I'm going to jump into that real quick. But let me go into saying, let us recap what the previous videos were about in terms of saying, okay, look, what is the understanding behind the Christ, the Messiah, and who the Antichrist is. So let's just recap. Let's recap. Alright, so I'm going to go back here to Jesus versus Jehovah. So what was consecrated in the Bible is this. So what we unfortunately have is, and I'm going to jump into it, very quick, what the actual doctrine is. The actual doctrine is the belief that Jesus came, was born into the world, died, got resurrected, died for our sins, got resurrected, and is going to come back one day like a Superman. The same person that lived 2,000 years ago, supposedly lived 2,000 years ago, is going to come back like a Superman and instantly do miracles and take over the world and take people to go live in the sky, right? That is the doctrine. That is what people understand by the belief behind Christianity in the book. So that's the message that people get when you read the book. Now, unfortunately, that I'm saying, if you've actually read the book with the intent to really try and get what the author was trying to say, like this guy who put these writings down, what were you trying to say? Through that process, it gets revealed what the actual message is, and this is the actual message. The author, the spirit that inspired the writings, was consecrating with this piece of literature. Right? So it's not exactly real, it's not exactly factual. That's the attitude that anybody that has come to knowledge would have towards the Bible. It's not a factual book, but not to take anything away from it is very important because it reveals the intentions of the author. The intentions of the true God. What is the true God? What is his plan of action? How is he gonna show up? What is he gonna do? What is he intending to do? So what becomes very clear is, now I'm gonna take you through it. What the author did, and this is what I was saying, the dirge that I did in the previous videos was basically, he gave two fucks, right? The first coming, right? Here's a man born into the world, Jesus born into the world. And before his baptism, it's just him. After his baptism, he receives the spirit of the one helping him, that is the spirit of the Christ. That is who he refers to as the Son of Man, the King of the creation, who is also referred to as the bride. And why is he the bride? Because this bride will choose to come in the name of Jesus the Queen. Right. So this is the first coming. So Jesus Christ is a man that is with the Christ, and because of that, he shows us what the Christ is like while making a way for the Christ. So in the second coming, what you have now, the Christ is now born into the world. So it's not like Christian theology that believes that the same Jesus who was born 2,000 years ago would be born now like not even born, they will come flying in the sky, and to come and dominate. The whole idea was that the Jesus, the groom, was born first. He receives the spirit of the helper. He goes away. He gets sacrificed so that the second coming would be the Christ being born into the world, and the spirit helping would be the spirit of Jesus, the spirit of the Son of God, the spirit of the great high priest, the spirit of the groom. So wherever the Christ is, the bride is, the groom would be with him. The spirit of the groom would be with him. So this is the theology this is the anticipated second coming of God. So now here's the second coming of, let's say, Jesus or God, but the first coming of God was it. God came, the Christ, the spirit of the Christ came in the spiritual sense. Right? The King of all creation. Let's just even put it here, the Holy Spirit. The Creator. Right here, the Holy Spirit. Right. So, Holy One, let's just say. True Son. True Spirit. Son. Alright. Alright, so that's what's going to be happening. So the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of the Creator, is the one that is with Jesus in the beginning. But Jesus says he will make a way and prepare for the Christ to be born into the world. And when he comes of age, after baptism of fire, Jesus, the Spirit of Jesus, of the true Son of God, the true witness. Let's just say, this is what we're going to say, the true witness. Yeah. True witness. Yeah. So this is the person that was with the Holy Spirit and made the first intervention. Now this is the Spirit that will be with him when he makes the second intervention. So this is fundamental, guys. I hope this is understood. So now, what I'm going to jump into now is another way to understand that. This is what has been consecrated. So, here's a nigga that reads the Bible, a man called Isaiah Shembe. 100 years ago, I was about to say 2,000 years ago, 100 years ago, the Zulu people are probably the last people on the planet Earth to receive the scriptures of the Bible. And the missionaries are in Natal, causing Natal like 100 years ago, and they're trying to get the Zulu people to quit their way of life and plug into their economic system and become Christians and westernized, reject their customs and their way of life and adopt the Western way of life. And this comes at a hefty price because this means the fall of the Zulu kingdom. The last legitimate Zulu king was probably King Cetshwayo. And this is shortly after his fall. The Zulu kingdom had been dismantled. Now you had guys like Mbabata paying hut tax. And now people were forced, for the first time, to go into the cities or go into the white communities of the white economy to earn money so they could pay the tax. Hut tax. Pay the rent of where they were living, which was completely unheard of at the time. So there was a big cultural shock that was happening in KwaZulu-Natal about 100 years ago. Now, this man reads the Bible and like, motherfucking pause. Jesus wasn't fucking goddamn motherfucking pause. Motherfucking pause. Jesus wasn't fucking goddamn motherfucking pause. So that's what's up, So this is what's happening. So he reads the Bible and he realizes, okay, Jesus is the OMEN. And he tries to be like Jesus as best as he can. And because of this attitude, The spirit of the original author was like, I see you, nigga. I see you, nigga. You can be Jesus, motherfucking Christ. So meaning that the idea is that now Jesus, who Jesus was in the context of the Bible, the groom making the way for the bride, Shembe became a man that is the groom making way for the bride that is coming. So Shembe became a man that is making way for the true Christ. And who is this true Christ? And this is my firm and strong belief that the true Christ is actually not like unsuspecting people believe, Jehovah God or Jesus, the characters in the book, in the Bible literature that we read. It's not. It is the Spirit that inspired the writings. So it is the author of the Bible that is the true God. Because that is the one that's made the effort to make his intentions known to everybody, what he's going to do. Right? So we should not make the mistake of confusing the true God as being the actual character in the book, in the Bible. The actual Jesus in the Bible. Because we know if you read the Bible, you understand it's a piece of literature. Right, so make an example that the true God is actually the director of the movie, not one of the casted actors in the movie. Make sense? The director and the guy that wrote the script and the director of the movie that's putting the movie together, he's the one that's trying to tell the story and get a message across. The actors, the guys who play the role, the characters, the roles in the story are not really real, but those are used to kind of show you what the director was trying to tell you. So what we make a mistake as scholars and people of faith and religious people, because of the doctrine, we fall in love with the characters in the movie, and we get attached to the character in the movie, and we don't pay attention to why the director and the writer of the script put that movie together, what he was trying to say. So we should actually get attached to the director and be like, dude, man, I get you, man. I see what you're trying to say. You get what I mean? That is the relationship, and this is who Isaiah Shembe had a relationship with. Because he understood this, he was able to respond appropriately, accordingly. And the appropriate response is like, hey, so given that this is what the true God intends to do, somebody has to become the groom that makes way for the coming bride, and actually makes way for the Christ, the Messiah that is going to be born into the world. That is what Shembe did. So now I'm going to go into it and just read a couple of things from literature that accuses Shembe of supplanting the Christ. And let me jump into it and just show you guys where it is. I'm just going to look through, there's a paper that's been written, and I just want to point it out here. Alright. Okay, so I want to read this to you. This is a paper by somebody called MOODLEY. And he did this paper in the 2000s and he visited the AMANAZARETHA movement that Isaiah Shembe founded. Right. And he visited the AMANAZARETHA movement and spent time with them to try and investigate. Right, because remember the missionaries 100 years ago attempted to indoctrinate the Zulu people and make them Christians and adopt the Western way of life, and fundamentally also adopt the Western doctrine. Right. Now Shembe comes along and says, stuff the doctrine. Here is the actual true understanding, and follow me and I will show you, I will lead you to the Christ. So this is quite interesting. It's like, in the context of reading the Bible, this is why it's a very big paradox with AMANAZARETHA. It's like, AMANAZARETHA have nothing against Jesus, have nothing against any of the personalities in the story. And in fact, they would actively read verses about these people in the Bible. But at the same time, Shembe would say, no, follow me and I'm going to show you the way to the Christ. And I'm going to just read this just so you guys understand that this guy's commentary when he spent time with AMANAZARETHA and why he could not understand. And then this question that he was asking is that, are the AMANAZARETHA, are the people that follow Shembe, is UBUNAZARETHA, the movement that Shembe founded, is it a CHRISTWARD movement? What does that mean, CHRISTWARD? Does it lead the people to Christ? You see, this is a very interesting question. Does it lead the people to Christ? So what the perception is that no, it in fact supplants the Christ. But what I'm going to explain to you now is the only reason a person would come to this conclusion is because they look at the Bible as a historical fact, when in fact it's a piece of literature that's supposed to inspire somebody, to play those roles in real life. So what we look at is like, oh, that's a wonderful person. Jesus is such a wonderful person. We look at him and we admire him, and we think that because we read about him and we believe in him, he's going to get off the page and magically come and do something. When the actual reality of the story is told so that you can get up your ass and go do something about it. Right. You see what I mean? You get what I'm saying? So I think let me just read this so that you guys are not confused. I'm going to read this. This is something from here, one of the people. On another front, the popular bumper sticker, Shembe is the way, provoked me to raise the question as to what the sticker meant to the AMANAZARETHA adherents. Most respondents believe that Shembe is the way to heaven. When I posed the question to Vimbeni Shembe was the leader at the time known as Nkosi Tingo Lenkosazana. He responded, Shembe is the way insofar as Jesus said, I am the way and the truth. Nobody sees the Father but through me, because my Father is in me and I am in him. So you see that sounds like to any normal Christian, but that is such an antichrist thing to say, bro. What are you saying? You're saying nobody sees the Father except through you? What are you saying? But that's, and that's where people get confused. But in the Bible, Jesus says that. It says in the Bible, it says Jesus is the one that says that. Why are you, Shembe, now saying that? Why is he saying that? Because he read the literature, understood that somebody has to be the crew. So that's what Shembe is doing. It's like, okay, somebody has to be the crew. So I am the way to the Father, and nobody comes to the Father but through me. That is truly following in Jesus' example. It's so funny about it. A whole lot of Christians out here getting born again. I believe in Jesus, I'm born again, this and this and this. When do they ever be like Jesus? When do they ever be like Jesus? So Shembe was the one man that became Jesus in the context of real life, in the context of his people. That's who Shembe is. In the context of his people, and universally as well. If you really want to see the Father, so Shembe is like, okay, fine. I have to be the guy that if people follow me, I will lead them to the true Christ, to the Father. That's what Shembe took out to do. And when he set up the Nazareth movement, it fulfills that particular purpose. He's a witness, I'm a witness, I know what it is, dog. That's what happened. That's what happened. You see what I'm saying? So this is going back to it. Let's read a couple more things about Nazareth. Alright, so I will conclude my response to the main research question. A Christward movement is one that recognizes that Jesus is Lord. The AMANAZARETHA Church could be considered as a Christward movement if it affirms that Jesus is Lord, in the sense that the adherents of the Christian faith acknowledge and receive the person and the work of Christ on the basis of his past work of atonement, his sacrifice on the cross, basically present his mediatorial role and intercession on our behalf, and future his second coming in glory. Right. I will finally offer some suggestions of how AMANAZARETHA Church, after almost 100 years of existence, may be brought back to Orthodox Christianity. So here's where I am actually so upset. I'm annoyed. It's like, who gives this guy the gall to come here and make suggestions about how he can bring the UBUNAZARETHA movement back to Orthodox Christianity, being CHRISTWARD? When in fact UBUNAZARETHA movement is perhaps the only CHRISTWARD movement on the planet. Because in a literal sense, in an actual sense, here is a man that read the intentions of the author and responded and actually took actions to say, I'm going to become the groom of heaven and I'm going to lead people to the true God, the original author of this inspired writings. That one will become the true king of creation. That one will become the true Christ. That is the Father in heaven. I'm going to lead people there. Right? Anybody that sits down and just reads the book and speculates on the book and believes about the book is not going anywhere. I can tell you now, you can believe in Jesus all you want. Believe all you want. But until you take the actions that are required to fulfill the intentions of the author of the book, you're not going anywhere, niggas. You know what I'm saying? And it sounds like a crass thing to say, but that's what it is. Alright. I'm gonna go read one more thing. Where are we here? Here's point 8. When asked by some white ministers in South Africa, of all the prophets, which one are you? Shembe replied, I am not Jesus, I am not Jeremiah, nor any other, but I am Shembe. See that, guys? When provoked further to reveal his true identity with the question, where do you come from? Shembe responded, my children, I cannot tell you that. All I can tell you is that when Moses saw the burning bush, I was there. Shembe not only identifies himself with Moses, but perhaps takes upon himself a defied role superior to Moses. To get what I'm saying. So this is very important. So this is the equivalent of what Jesus was saying. Before Abraham, I am. You get what I'm saying? So basically Shembe is saying, look, man, I'm that real nigga, man. You get what I'm saying? I'm not any of these people, right? But I'm Shembe, the way, the truth, and nobody comes to the Father but through me. Real life now. So you guys are understanding this. You see the spirit of the Antichrist is that somebody who would honor the story would be seen as being the Antichrist. Right? Somebody that would claim to be God. Somebody, and I just want to go back to the attributes. Let me go back to the attributes, right? Let's go back to the attributes. Christ attributes. Claim to be God, say pompous things. That point. Right? So Shembe comes along and says that. That's what's up. So, kind of crazy, right? Kind of crazy. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to just take you through UBUNAZARETHA and how Shembe shows himself to be the groom of heaven and does what Jesus does in the context of Scripture, to go and prepare a place for all of us and lead us and show us the way to the Father. Right? I'm going to go into that. Let me just find the reference here. Pause. Motherfucking pause. Jesus wasn't fucking goddamn motherfucking pauser. Motherfucking pauser. Jesus wasn't fucking goddamn motherfucking pauser. Awesome, dude. Awesome. So I'm jumping into it. I think what I'm gonna do is basically just take you through the intent behind the CONSECRATING movement. So Isaiah Shembe, now what I'm saying to you guys, came and looked at the omen of the Bible, the spiritual principle, got the spiritual principle, and decided to consummate. When you go back to the notes here, let me go back to the notes. Consummate, where it is, consummate identifies the context of the intended impact. So if you read the Bible, Jesus comes to the Jews, and he comes late because it's way after Babylon and Persia when the actual prophecies were meant to be fulfilled. And Jesus says, no, the Son of Man is coming. So he doesn't show up in the book of Revelations that dares the reader to fulfill what is written in the book. So this is what's been consecrated. So Shembe reads the book and says, okay, somebody's got to become the groom of heaven, and identifies the context of the intended impact. So the context, the idea is made clear that there's going to be a groom that comes, then after that groom there's going to be a Christ that comes. The groom is here to show us who the Christ will be like and how, and soon after the groom comes, the bride will come to implement the intentions of the creator of life. So Shembe comes along and says, okay, I am Shembe, I am the groom, and I'm coming to the people of God who are the Zulu people, the African people, and I'm going to establish the UBUNAZARETHA movement. The UBUNAZARETHA movement serves one important thing: to make supplications for the coming king. Why is this important? So there's three things here that needs to happen. Shembe does this. He says, look, the coming king is on his way, AMANAZARETHA, Zulu people. He's going to come and re-establish Umbuso Zulu, the kingdom of heaven on earth. So when he comes, you Makola, you AMANAZARETHA, need to believe and have faith and follow him now, because he's with me now, and until he eventually shows up in person to do what he's going to do. So you AMANAZARETHA, follow me. So what Shembe does, he basically does two things. He gets the Son of Man the required attention that he would need when he shows up, and the supplications from the congregation. So the Son of Man, or the King of Creation, the actual King of Creation, when he shows up, he needs people that are going to be there to work with him and follow him. So what Shembe does, he gets the AMANAZARETHA movement to say, when they join the movement, they're saying, I choose the coming king. I commit myself to the coming king, and I'm willing to serve the coming king. And in so doing, he puts down customs and rituals that they must perform to get the attention of the coming king when he is born into the world and when he shows up. So by the time he's born into the world and he shows up, he will have the UBUNAZARETHA movement ready and willing to work with him in implementing the kingdom of heaven on earth, in implementing Umbuso. So this was the purpose behind Shembe's UBUNAZARETHA movement. So it's very different to any sort of Okolwa. So this is quite ironic as well. You have some moodly bitch boy, I'm sorry to say, that comes around thinking that he knows shit about being Christward. This is the ultimate Christward movement. UBUNAZARETHA is the ultimate Christward movement because it makes supplications in real life for somebody who's going to show up. The reason why Christians wouldn't do this because they subscribe to the doctrine that Jesus, the same guy that lived 2,000 years ago, is going to come like a Superman in a glorified body in the clouds and do magic things and, You know what I mean? People are going to be dying all over the place. People will be raptured. People are going to be taken into the sky to live in the sky with a glorified body. If you really pay attention to the scriptures, that's never been the intent of the original author. The intent of the original author was to become a son of a man, take the form of a man, take up his own image. The only difference would be that image would have the capability to be immortal. So that's what a glorified body would be. A glorified body would be a person that cannot die. You just get healthier and stronger and more resilient with time. That's a glorified body, but it doesn't necessarily mean like you're Superman flying in the clouds and stuff. So this is the challenge that for people, any Christian wouldn't even think that far. Number one, why? Because they believe that the Bible is a factual historical book, historical events that actually happened. And because of this belief, they're waiting for the character in the book to show up flying like Superman. It's never going to happen. Why? Because the author wrote the story, put down the story as a parody or as a piece of literature to reveal in principle what he intends to do in real life. So now this is real life. Somebody in real life has to show up and actually make way for him. And who is this person that showed up? Isaiah Shembe said, okay, hang on, I see you, nigga. We are your people, Zulu people, we are your people, right? We are your people, the original author now, right? We're here to serve you. We're going to make and prepare a place for you so that when you come, you can implement Umbuso. And this is actually quite funny. If you look at Shembe's prayer, the Sabbath prayer, asks one thing from the God. One thing. Kumbuli into Gasenza Kona Tigan, what was the Zulu kingdom? Re-establish it. So, this is the purpose behind the Nazaretha movement. So, very important, guys. Very important. So, the Nazaretha movement consummates black magic now. Responds to the spiritual principle, responds to the omen of the Bible, responds to the literature by taking actual actions and interventions that bring about the intentions of the original author. The intent of the original author is to show up. But for him to show up, a groom must come first and make a way for him and make supplication for him so that when he does come, he will be successful. So what's going to happen is that when Shembe came, Isaiah Shembe came and started the movement, he doesn't claim that he started the movement. In fact, it is quite evident because what man that cannot read can actually have this amount of wisdom and actual awareness? I mean, look at this time now. We're living in a time where everybody has access, instant access to the Bible. I can just Google and just get a verse now, right? But this is a man who couldn't read, but was able to discern and comprehend the relationship between the bride and the groom, the first coming of God and the second coming of God, and to such an extent where he is able to put down rituals as evidence that he himself understood what the principle of the original author was when he wrote the Bible. That the groom would come, right? And when the groom comes, the spirit of the Creator would be with him to support him. But he would have to go away so that one day when the spirit of the Creator is born into the world, right, the spirit of the groom would be with him. So this is what Shembe reveals in the practice of the Nazaretha. He is a witness that what I'm saying is true. So I'm not just pulling shit out of my ass. So what I'm saying is really that Shembe was with the true God when he started the movement. It was actually the spirit of the true God that started the movement. In fact, we'll go as far as saying that it was almost impossible for a normal man who was just a herder of cattle, worked on a farm, had 3 wives, to all of a sudden possess such wisdom to respond to the Bible in such a manner, perform all the miracles that he did, and command such a following that still sustains till today. There's definitely a force, and this is what I'm trying to say, that the spirit of the Creator is actually the spirit that inspired the writings of the folk tale, Inganegwane, the Bible, itself. That spirit is also the founder of what was the black people, the African Zulu people, and their customs. So the whole art of black magic, their true God is the custodian of black magic. Let me just put it this way. Why? You see what I'm saying? And this is evident because it is by black magic, right, that the Bible was put down. It is by black magic that Shembe came and responded and consummated what was put down. And it's going to be by black magic that the actual intended impact is made. So this is how God is going to create the new reality. If the God of the Bible outlined that he's going to create a paradise on earth and the kingdom of heaven on earth, this black magic is the process. And this is going to be what's so dope about this whole experiment and this whole process right now, is that everybody's going to witness that it's by black magic that the promises of God, the God of the Bible, will be fulfilled. Somebody has to read what is consecrated, get the intent of the author, identify the context like Shembe did and say, in the context of the Zulu people, the idea, the intention of the God of the Bible will become successful. Somebody's going to come and make that intended impact, like you see now the Zulu kingdom, the king of the Jews, make that intended impact where it's meant to be made. So, let me give you a typical example of black magic. So, in black magic, there's something called IGONA. So, what people don't understand about, let's say, MUTI, which is traditional medicine. Traditional medicines are not actual medicines in the true sense of the word, where I ingest it and it gives me some form of nutritional value that, when ingested, the nutrients are extracted to kind of heal ailments. With traditional medicines, it's literally about applying principles and preserving principles that the custodians of the rituals of the MUTI will be able to remember when the custodian comes. So let me put it this way. What happens with black magic is somebody with the spirit, it creates a ritual and informs the people to keep a specific custom or ritual. That custom and ritual becomes a code. So even the MUTI itself becomes a code that those people must preserve throughout the generations. So that when that spirit, the custodian of that custom, is born into the world, that spirit can now have that custom as an inheritance. And only that spirit will be able to decode that custom and be able to make sense of it and respond accordingly. So it's like almost a set of reminders. So what I'll say to you now, when you go to a traditional healer as a black person and they give you MUTI and the MUTI works, it's not that the MUTI works, it's that you're being incentivized to preserve the use of that MUTI. Because when the custodian of that MUTI comes along, the custodian of the MUTI will know exactly what to do with it. So it's preserving messages so that when the custodian comes along, he can read the message and be able to respond accordingly. So what I want to point out to you now is something called IGONA. In the Zulu custom or in the Nguni custom, any clan would have IGONA. IGONA is like a potion or a mixture of principles that are put together that are the secret source, or the secret that preserve the secret source of that clan, on the strength of the clan. Right? So if you are a person in the good sense and your Ngona has been compromised, you are going to be cursed, because the incentive for you preserving that IGONA is so that the custodian of that IGONA can eventually come and inherit that IGONA and know what to do with it. But if you don't preserve that IGONA, right, that's where you have all the bad luck and all the you're actually punished, because now you're compromising the work and the inheritance of the custodian of that lineage. Right. So this is very important. So you don't compromise IGONA. You don't compromise it. So if it's compromised or something is added to it, if something's added to it, it is by the custodian, the spirit that is the custodian of that household, or that, let's just say, that family lineage. And every family lineage it's a name behind the family lineage. So now what I'm going to point out to you, just to prove to you that UMNYENI is not just, it is actually the art of black magic used to respond to the Bible literature and used to bring about the intentions of the author of the literature, or the spirit that inspired the writings, by the use of black magic. So AMANAZARETHA have what you call IGONA, live and walking IGONA. I'm going to take you through it. So what I'm going to actually point out, typically IGONA would be a set of herbs or roots, different sort of things that are put into this mixture that point out the principles about that particular clan or lineage, right? And that must be preserved for the custodian of the lineage, because the custodian of the lineage, or the custodians of these lineages, of these tribal lines, are going to be born at a later stage, right? The generations that come before are just making a way, preparing the way for the true ones and the custodians of all of these things. So here's an example of how I'm revealing that the custodian of UMNYENI movement is the one that put this IGONA together. AMANAZARETHA have IGONA, right? Not in the literal sense, where you have a bottle with oil and all sorts of things that are put in there. Not in the literal sense, but in a principle sense, that there's a set of principles that are put together that preserve the intent and the strength of the household of the lineage. So let's talk about the SHEMBE lineage and of NAZARETHA. Anyone becomes of NAZARETHA, there's a IGONA that the guys preserve. And let me take you through it. Right. So IGONA AMANAZARETHA. So IGONA AMANAZARETHA, the secret source of AMANAZARETHA is that SHEMBE was making way for the coming king, and he gave him his place called Inkosi Yasephakeme. And he called him Inkosi Yasephakeme. So let me take you guys through that. Let's look at that. Inkosi Yasephakeme, illustrating who the coming Christ, the one who would re-implement umbuso wezulu, who would re-implement the kingdom of heaven on earth. What was the Zulu kingdom? That's what this is about. IGONA AMANAZARETHA. So in this IGONA, you have the first ingredient in this IGONA is SHEMBE's blood. What the blood symbolizes, so remember I mentioned to you guys now, right? IGONA is a set of herbs, things that are put into concoction, and that is preserved as IGONA and the secret source of a particular family, right, or a particular lineage. So the people of that family are incentivized to keep that IGONA and not compromise it, so that it can be well with them, so they can be blessed and successful, everything financially, health, and everything. But the moment they compromise IGONA, they get smacked, not because it's just black magic and it's evil, because when you start to compromise IGONA, you are now disturbing the inheritance of the custodian of that particular bloodline, of that particular lineage. that particular custodian, the spirit that is the foundation of that lineage, is going to expect to find IGONA in place. Why? Because he's the one that can be able to decode it, get the message, and be able to have a reminder that will tell him and inform the custodian on how to respond. So it's basically like there's a treasure box, and IGONA becomes like the key. Like it's a set of riddles that becomes a key that opens the treasure box. So the custodian of a lineage says, okay, I have my treasure box that I want to go now access. But you guys, I'm entrusting you my lineage that I'm going to be born into with the key to open that treasure box. So if you now compromise the key, change the key, throw the key away, cut the key, tamper with the key, you are literally blocking the custodian from accessing the treasures or what rightfully belongs to him. So you see what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? So this is the importance of IGON, and I'm playing it out right now in practice. Now IGON again. AMANAZARETHA. SHEMBE's blood is the first ingredient, right? So a man from the SHEMBE bloodline is required to stand in the place of NKULUNKULU and present himself as the Christ that is coming, who would re-implement UBUNAZARETHA. This is the illustration, right? So why is this important? Because a person like me, the custodian, will be able to recognize what all of this symbolizes and what is required, and it convicts me as the custodian to respond accordingly. SHEMBE's blood, what it tells me is that the spirit of the founder chose the name SHEMBE. So this is the name that I chose to be, the name that was chosen by the custodian of the founder of the movement. So the founder, the spirit of the founder, chose to be called SHEMBE. The same way a woman chooses a husband. When she gets married to the husband, she drops her surname and chooses to be called by the surname of the husband. Chose the name SHEMBE. That is the name. So this is to consummate that this is the name of the groom. Okay. So the next part of IGONA is the dress. So a man from the SHEMBE bloodline must wear a dress and present himself to the congregation in a dress. Why? To symbolize that he is the pride of heaven. You see here, guys, the pride of heaven. So the pride of heaven is going to come in the name of the groom. How is that symbolized? The blood from the SHEMBE bloodline. This consummates the fact that the pride must come in the name of SHEMBE. Shoes. So now, this is very important, actually. This is very important because if you look at the paradox, why this becomes quite significant is the fact that AMANAZARETHA don't wear shoes when they're in the holy places in the temple where they pray. But the only person that actually wears shoes, ironically, is the person that's presented as CONSECRATED, the man in the dress, the leader of the congregation that is presented to the congregation. So this is very interesting. So why would the guy wear shoes when? And there's a story about the founder. Actually, the founder, before he started the movement, would go to several churches or different churches, and when he would get to the church, he'd remove his shoes and enter into the church, and people would be like, "Dude, what you doing? Why are you doing that, man? Put your shoes on." And he's like, "No, but it says in the Bible that this is a holy place. You don't go into the shoes in the holy place." He's like, hey man, maybe just go start your own church, man. This is not you killing our swag over here. And so, because SHEMBE, like I'm saying, SHEMBE would hear about the stories. He's not exactly literate. He'd hear about the stories and learn about the stories and be convicted to be like Jesus. Apply the principle in real life. Otherwise, what's the point of believing? And it's that attitude that led him to being possessed or embodied by the spirit of the original author. And this is why the true God actually decided to say, hey, look, you are going to be the groom, and I'm going to be your helper, and I, the true creator, will come in your name. So perform this, create this IGONA to show that when I do come through, I will remember that I am meant to come in your name, and I'm actually coming like a bride to answer your prayer. You get what I mean? This is very creepy. This is like high grade black magic shit, you know what I'm saying? So let's jump to it, right? So he wears shoes. So the shoes symbolize the attributes demonstrated by the Spirit of the Father. Right. So meaning that the shoes indicate that the coming bride will come and possess the same attributes or principles or characteristics that the founder of the movement did, or the founder of the movement possesses the same attributes of the true Christ. So this is to say that the man wearing the dress is putting on shoes to say that, no man, I'm not really the one, but I am coming in the shoes of the one. Right, the same way Jesus came to show people that say, hey, look, if you've seen the Father, you've seen me. If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. The things that Jesus did are attributes, reveal the attributes of the Christ. So it's basically the Christ gave Jesus his shoes. So that's why Jesus would say things like, Jesus, not being the Son of Man, would say things like when he'd be doing things, and he says, the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath. Right? So he's basically saying that I'm walking in the shoes of the Son of Man. I might not be the Son of Man, but I'm definitely walking in the shoes of the Son of Man. My actions, me healing people on the Sabbath, is what the Son of Man would do. So that's how I can say, look, dude, the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath. I'm walking in the shoes of the Son of Man. I'm walking in the shoes of the Christ. Alright, you see that? So that's the symbolism of the shoes. Then there's something called Ilat. It's the seat for the founder, the groom. So how the story behind Ilati was the fact that when the founder started the movement, he'd present himself to the congregation, and then eventually, towards the end of his life, he prepared a little seat that comes where he would sit next to whoever that he had appointed as the coming king. Right, so he prepared this little seat called Ilat that had like cushions and what we call the straw mats, the mats that Zulu people use. And this symbolizes the presence of the groom, the true witness. So, if you look at this IGONA, it is the evidence that Shembe understood the relationship between the bride and the groom. Shembe was basically saying that, look man, Shembe was saying that, look man, I am the faithful witness, and I had the actual Christ with me. And the actual Christ is with me because he's married to me. So the Christ will come like a bride to answer my prayer, or the prayer of the congregation. What is the prayer of the congregation? Awukhumbule indlu kasenza ngakhona nedingane echithekileyo, ayibuthe echithekeni kwayo. Re-establish what was the Zulu kingdom. Inkosi yasekuphakameni. And every time the congregants khetha inkosi yasekuphakameni, they're choosing this particular person. So Shembe, the man that is in the dress, is not the actual person. He's an illustration of the actual person. And this is what you'd call IGONA. This is the secret sauce of the AMANAZARETHA. And AMANAZARETHA, anyone that's AMANAZARETHA, this is the tribe. And what I'd call this tribe, literally, is the motherfucking Zulu tribe. Motherfucking Zulu tribe is that these are the people that believe that they're not just Zulu in the sense of being an ethnicity, but they are Zulu in the sense that they are from heaven. They are the true sons of God. That's why I say motherfucking Zulu. So Shembe is quite ironic when he came to the Zulu people and they asked him where he's from. Shembe akusiwo umuntu wasezulwini. He is from heaven. In the biblical sense, heaven. So all of a sudden, the Zulu people started identifying with a person that was Zulu in the biblical sense. In the sense of heaven. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we'd call motherfucking Zulu, being giving back to the idea of what it is to be Zulu. So this is very important, guys. So it is through this IGONA that has been preserved, this custom that has been preserved, where the congregation gathers around to say this prayer, and when they say this prayer, the bride of heaven comes into their presence, and the bride of heaven is accompanied. So not even accompanied. The groom, the spirit of the groom goes ahead of the bride and is presented to the congregation. And then the bride of heaven comes walking in the shoes and the dress. You get what I mean? And the bloodline Shembe child is walking into the congregation and presents himself to the congregation as CONSECRATED, the King of creation, the Christ, the Son of Man that will become God, that will re-establish the kingdom of heaven on earth. So this whole custom, or this whole ritual, is what you call, in a practical sense, IGONA, the secret source behind a tribe, a lineage of people. So this IGONA is a universal IGONA, because for any African man, this is the secret source behind your salvation. That one day the custodian of the Nazaretha movement will come back and remember that, hang on, I am UMAKOTI wasezulwini. I am the pride of heaven, and I'm obligated to respond to this prayer. What is the prayer? Re-establish the kingdom of heaven on earth. Re-establish what was the Zulu kingdom. Re-establish umbuso wesu. Right? You get what I'm saying? So the congregants of AMANAZARETHA need to pay attention to say that you're not literally believing that this person that's in front of you is God, but you literally can believe that God was here to create this whole custom. So when you kneel before the man in the dress, you are respecting the fact that God came to put this custom down as a promise that he will show up. So the custom is the evidence that the spirit of the Creator will show up. Because no normal person would just think of that and just come up with that. No normal person would do that. It's unheard of. Why would you even do that? Why would a man even volunteer to go walking around in a dress? Why would you do that? Right. Why would you now insist that this Elite must go ahead of him and be presented? Why? So you see the principle. Going back to the principle. Let me go back to the principle and show you guys what I mean. Jesus versus Jehovah. So now what we're going to do here, we're going to say Shembe, born into the world. Right. So what Shembe did is applying the principle, right? Shembe born into the world. The Christ will be born into the world coming again. Shembe. And here it's Shembe. So let's even call this, in the context of this, NKULUNKULU ga Shembe. NKULUNKULU ga Shembe. Right. So this is the evidence that Shembe understood what was happening. Because when after his baptism, Shembe got the Spirit help him, NKULUNKULU ga Shembe. the Spirit of the Son of Man, the King of all creation, the bride. He is the true witness. And how we know that he's a true witness? The fact that he put down the customs is the evidence that he's the true witness. The fact that he put down the customs of UBUNAZARETHA, that Gonad that I just showed you, to say that the Christ, the Messiah, will come like a bride in Shembe's name, a bride married to Shembe, walking in the characteristics of the foundation of the church. Right? And wherever that bride is, the Spirit of the true witness will be there with him. Right. This is exactly what I explained to you when you read the scriptures. What does Jesus say? That, hey, I'm the groom, but the bride is with me. Oh man, but I must go away so that the bride can come, the Christ can come, be born into the world, and I will be there accompanying him as a Spirit, as a true witness. Very important, right? So this is where you see the actual witness of the fact that what I've come to know as the truth and derived from the intentions of the original author is what Shembe is a witness of. You can trust me because I've been reading this book from when I could read. 7 years, 8 years old, 9 years old. These are the times where I actually got to peep game. 12 years old. By the time I was 12 years old, I've already done the whole reading, all the reading that I had to do. It was all just processing now. And comparing it to the doctrine that I would hear from the fellowshipping with other Christians. Right? Shembe was a man that couldn't read, guys. How would he come to know this? And this is how you know that Shembe, Isaiah Shembe, was born 100 years ago, was a faithful witness. So yeah, so this is the thinking, guys. This is how somebody becomes, has the spirit of the Antichrist is not necessarily about a person saying, I don't believe in God, I don't like God, I'm against God. It's about saying, look, I got the story. Right. This is an omen, this is Nganegwan. But now I must respond and be the character in the story, in the context of their life. And this is how somebody ends up becoming known as the Antichrist. But hopefully, if you're watching this, you understand that it's actually not, going back to what I said in the first few videos, that the Antichrist is the one character that is predicted that will honor Jesus, because that's the only character that will do what Jesus did and do it better. The only difference between the Christ, Jesus Christ, and the Antichrist is the fact that Jesus was taken out by the spirit of Satan eventually. That final nail in the coffin was done by Satan when Satan entered Judas. The Antichrist is going to be done away by the breath of the mouth of Jesus. You get what I mean? So, we need to understand this idea, guys. And I'm going to go into it in the last video to say, let's talk about what is said about the Antichrist and why he's villainized so much. And when looking at this is why I'm saying that what's happening now is that here's a man who dared to be the groom. And what I'm going to say now is that there's going to be a man that dares to be the bride. Right? You get what I mean? So that's we're going to end it there. Hope you enjoyed it.